During Liberty Volleyball's dominant run in the late 1990s, Curie Dorne Adams established herself as a driving factor in the team's success.
Curie Dorne Adams, a.k.a. Keats. Okay, Keats. That's basically what she's known by. And great athlete, came out of New York, and super excited to have her as part of the team. Big outside, big arm, could just bang away.
She had a super fast arm swing, which made for great hits. Definitely reliable when you needed solid consistency or that we need a point. There was no doubt that you could trust that she was going to do that.
From 1996 to 1999, Adams helped Liberty win 93 matches and 2 Big South championships, also giving the program its first 2 appearances in the NCAA tournament in 1997 and 1999.
She brought to our team a levity and a happiness, and all while being calm and consistent. And I have very vivid memories of her absolutely pounding the ball and then turning around and celebrating with her teammates like it was one of us who had just done it.
And she was just very consistent. She's the type of teammate who I never had to question if I was going to get 100% of her, whether it was practice or a game. Or as a friend off the court, you always had her best.
Individually, Adams' best came during her junior year when she sent down a career-high 424 kills and led the Big South with 4.12 kills per set. That year, she would be named Big South Player of the Year and Co-Scholar Athlete of the Year. By the end of her illustrious career, Adams ranked 3rd in program history with 1,476 kills and 5th with 1,235 digs, becoming the 5th Lady Flame to join the 1,000 club. But to those who know her, Adams is more than stats in a record book.
Being Curie's roommate and best friend, I obviously got to see her grow in other ways too and learn to lean on the Lord. And I think her faith really became her own and developed and grew while she was at Liberty.
I think Liberty impacted her greatly. So just from, matter of fact, I got a chance to visit with her a couple years ago out in Colorado, and we had a great time. I think, her brother was one of my assistants, and so that family connection was a great connection for all of us. So I think Liberty had a huge impact on that entire family.
Now, we welcome Curie Dorne Adams to the Liberty Athletics Hall of Fame.
Although I think my form in some of those pictures, particularly for Bussey, was not at my best. But I am overwhelmed with gratitude to have been selected as an inductee to the 13th class of the Hall of Fame, and to see so many teammates and familiar faces in my family sharing in this occasion is incredibly honoring. I never imagined that 21 years after graduating from Liberty, I would get the opportunity to celebrate my college career again, to walk down memory lane, and to reflect on the many people who impacted my life. This honor and accomplishment is not something that I earned alone, and there are many others who deserve to share in this moment. I would like to thank my mom and dad. I did practice this while I was crying, so Tim, I'm still going to be under the limit, so don't worry. My mom and dad for their unending support, for making the trip to volleyball games whenever they could, for always being my #1 fans. Now having 3 kids of my own, I can appreciate with a very full heart all that my parents did for me and how they, without hesitation, invested in my athletic career. Thank you to my brother, who was a huge cheerleader for me when he came on staff as a coach. I came first. I just want to make sure that that's clear. He came later, and I made sure that I told him this was my territory. But I loved watching his unbridled passion and excitement for me as well as for the team. And then there are many of you sitting over here in this room, as well as Coach Phillips, and other former teammates, those that challenged me as a player and as a person. From you, I learned how to be a leader, an encourager, how to help others shine and be at their best, how to laugh at myself, how to overcome injury and battle back, how to be confident on and off the court, to persevere, to keep my head high, and not to focus on the errors. These are the volleyball life lessons that I am most grateful for. And so thank you, because this award is for you guys also. And finally, I haven't seen these people in 21 years. It's a little overwhelming. And finally, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee for offering recognition to athletes like me. How I got to Liberty is a little bit of a story, which I won't indulge you tonight, but suffice it to say that my first encounter with Liberty was when I checked in for my campus visit, and they had me scheduled to be in a boys' dorm. I should also probably address, and Coach Laura will appreciate this, I hope, my recruiting video that my dedicated dad toiled hours over recording, editing, and splicing. There was no people help. It was my dad. This professionally made highlight VHS came up all too frequently in my years at Liberty as coaching staff, including my own brother, confessed the belly full of laughs that they would share when reviewing my footage. I think it was something that they did on a yearly basis, was just press play on Curie's recruiting tape. Dad, we did do our best, and it got me here. So despite an awful visit and a low-quality recruiting tape, the coaches did see potential in me. There are many unforgettable memories I have at Liberty. My many roommates like Jess and Stacy, hiding a TV in a trunk in Susan's room when TVs weren't allowed. Iffy dressing us up in her Nigerian traditional clothing. Navigating the red clay, which I think you've covered most of it now. And the gnats. Chocolate chip muffins from the cafeteria, which I ate every day. Driving to hockey day games in Roanoke or Charlottesville and cheering for our hockey mates. Ultimate Frisbee with our David's Place friends. Our coffee house Spice Girls debut. That's right, some of you will remember that. Coach Laura bleaching my very long hair with a hairnet. Painful, yes, it's painful. Traveling to the Dominican Republic with our volleyball team. Skydiving with my best friend Jill. Heartbreak and weddings. I remember 2-a-days and having to run the scary mile, which doesn't seem very long now, learning how to lift weights with Coach Williams and with Coach Neal, and to train for speed and agility. I remember how challenging it was to balance volleyball at a full course load, studying in the dorm hallways in the wee early mornings with hot chocolate and graham crackers, because I got too car sick on the volleyball bus ride, so I couldn't do any schoolwork. I think of my shoulder surgery the summer before my senior year, how my roommates Jill and Athena had to help dress me. And then working with athletic trainers Brian Sennett and Kelly Bell to get my arm working again and ready for my final season. And I remember feeling proud to hold the nickname Triple Threat alongside my teammates Athena Sherwood and Antonia Akama. Among the most invigorating memories are winning the Big South tournament, and twice, and having the chance to play both the University of Florida and Notre Dame in the NCAA Big Dance Tournament, and to have the rings to prove it. So many great memories, so many awesome friends, so many shared experiences. I have said many times over the years that choosing Liberty was truly one of the best decisions I've ever made. As we get older, our college careers continue to fade into the past. The people that we now know don't know who we once were, the things we accomplished, the obstacles that we overcame. They only know us in the present. And while that's not always a bad thing, I like being known as a school administrator and a licensed professional counselor, a mom, a coach, sometimes the thought does sadden me that my kids would never know me. As an elite athlete, that my career was fleeting and only for when I was young and in my prime. But tonight I am indebted for a gift that I never anticipated, nor can I properly thank. The gift of a legacy, that who I was and what I accomplished was seen and mattered and will continue to be celebrated. I am humbled and appreciative. Thank you.
Congratulations, Curie. Welcome to the Liberty Athletics Hall of Fame. Next up is Pat Bussey. Pat and I had a few minutes before the ceremony tonight to catch up. Some great stories, Pat. Two-time All-American, four-time team captain, and took a circuitous route to get to Liberty. Let's check out some of his former teammates and coaches and hear about Pat Bussey.
After a 4-year stint in the Marines, 24-year-old Pat Bussey enrolled at Liberty University to join the wrestling team.
Pat was a guy who was in service for 4 years, come to college and had not wrestled for 4 years. So he was a different type of student. He was mature, grown up, had been around a lot, and that evidently made an impact on the team.
He was just an imposing looking figure. I remember he had a real thick beard. He was tall, lean, and we were excited. Coach Bonheim didn't know he was coming until he came. He wasn't necessarily a recruited athlete. And so when he came, just kind of, it was manna from heaven as far as athletically for our team.
A native of South River, New Jersey, and four-time team captain, Bussey is also a member of Liberty's Eagle Medal Gold Club, earning 110 victories in his time on Liberty Mountain. His prowess on the mat and powerful techniques earned the respect of his teammates.
Pat had a series of moves that he perfected. He worked to perfection. And if he could get an opponent into one of those situations where he could use one of those moves, he would absolutely punish you on the mat.
On the top-bottom position, he was just so good when he was on top of someone, just we call it cranking. I mean, he put a hurting on people, cranking.
Bussey possessed a work ethic second to none, and as the work was put in, the success increased.
But the first 2 years, he only won maybe 2 or 3 or 5 more matches and he lost. And the last 2 years of his competition, he really bloomed. He became a national competitor on the Division II level.
That joy of competition and that drive that he demonstrated was contagious, and it influenced a number of us on the team, and was a big part of our success at Liberty for a number of years.
Bussey earned Division II All-America honors in 1985 and 1986. For as dominant as he was on the mat, Bussey made as much of an impression off it as well.
As tough as he was on the mat, off the mat, he was truly a compassionate person, cared about people, really spent time to help lift other people up.
Pat was always interested in the aspect of spiritual things and sharing the Lord with other members of the other team. That was one of our goals, to wrestle for the Lord and make Him known.
Pat Bussey, welcome to the Liberty Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Am I good there? Thank you very much. Let me just get that situated. Wow, that was amazing. And I can relate to the emotions after hearing that. I'm not supposed to get emotional, but I don't think that's going to happen. I just want to say that it's just an honor and privilege to be here tonight. I'd just like to read a verse real quickly from James 4:14. Whereas you know not what will be on the morrow, for what is your life? It is even a vapor that appeareth for a little time and then vanishes away. All right, it's hard not to get emotional, but for the time, I got to keep moving. I've already seen several of my teammates, and even though I haven't seen most of them for 35 years, a few guys I've seen a couple times, and 3 of them I've kept in contact with. I just overcome with emotion, and it's just, life goes so quick, you know, and the unique thing we have as a Christian bond is that we might not see each other for 30, 35 years, and as soon as we see our teammates, our coaches, there's that immediate connection because of that bond we have with Christ and the friendship that we have with them over the years. Okay. I'd like to thank Alan York. I mean, wow, that's amazing video productions, and I really appreciate that. And I'm looking for Tim. Where's Tim at? There's Tim. Tim has been awesome through the whole journey from the first time he called me, and it kind of was, the call was kind of like I had a lot going on. My mind was going 100 miles an hour, and I get this call. I pick up for everybody, you know, and I pick up and I hear, this is Tim East from Liberty. And he said it quick, and right away I'm thinking, oh, he's going to want a donation. And I was thinking, Lord, what do I say, you know? And then his next words were, sorry. His next words were, you know, pretty much, Pat, I want to let you know that the committee, you've been selected to be inducted to the 2021 Hall of Fame along with 5 other people. And I was on my phone. I had just gotten in my car, and I was like, you know, I was speechless. And then I was like humbled, and I just had a lot, you know, kind of in the valley. You're going through the valley with the Lord, and it was just like, wow. I just had so many emotions go through, and the biggest emotion that I had was that I was going to be able to see my teammates, and my coach. That went through my mind pretty quick, and I am thankful that I was able to come out here with my son Levi, and we were able to see Coach because he's the major part of my life and the foundation of our team and where it started and where it is at this time. Whew. I'm excited for our wrestling family. I'm glad I got to see them like last night, and then this morning we went out and Coach Castro took Levi and me up to the mountain. Yeah, there you go. And you know, he was sharing about how, you know, the team went up there on a run and where they had their Bible study, and we just looked at the campus, and he was trying to show me, like, there was nothing here when we were here. More so there, and where was that dorm we were at, you know? But it was just amazing to see the vision of Dr. Falwell and others, and where Liberty is today. It's wow. But anyway, so I'm also I was jumped off, but our wrestling family, to see all these guys is amazing. It's kind of helping with the emotions, or I think I would really struggle to be up here. And I just want to say in particular, because I can't thank everybody, they know it. I thank my whole wrestling team. They're awesome. And I just wanted to say Mike Hatch was able to make it in tonight, and Mike and me stayed connected. And he was a great teammate, and he's a great brother in the Lord. And Eric Hurley, we got to really get in touch over the years, and just the same, like just sharing the Lord and struggles and victories and praise, and it just means so much that you have that connection, which I don't think you could have if you didn't, you know, it's not the same. And then I just do want to say really quick, because Dave Rufinot, who's a very special person, I know he's home tonight. He couldn't make it, and you know, he had so much in his life, and he could have so much to complain about, but you never heard Dave complaining. Just a great friend and encouragement, and I really appreciate you, Dave, and I love all you guys, and I'm so thankful that I'm here tonight, and you know, seeing you guys and get to see you more. Sorry, I guess I should have brought tissue, but anyway. I just want to talk a little bit. Well, I want to talk the rest of the time about Coach Bonheim, and he is an amazing man. I remember first coming. I remember that we had the team get together, and the Bonheims, Coach and Miss Bonheim, would have you to their house all the time. You know, Jesse talked about going over there, you know, whatever they needed. As a team, they were there for us. They knew the importance of young people and develop them to know Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. Whew. Corey, I asked Jesse, you look totally different. What I do remember with Corey was he did a lot of chores, and it's awesome to see you here tonight. But Coach was a fierce competitor. I don't know if there was anyone more that wanted to win than Coach. I mean, he wanted to win, but more than that was the relationship with Jesus Christ. Coach didn't just talk about it. He didn't just talk about Jesus. He lived for him. Ooh. And he instilled that into us. And Mrs. Bonheim, they were there for us. We were their family. We weren't like their family. We were their family. Ooh, okay, and then just a couple other things about Coach. Before every practice, Coach took out his Bible, and he would read Scripture, and he would pray with us, and he would share share God's word with us. For the Scripture was that day, and it was every day. I don't think we ever missed a day. And another thing, there's so many things, but one more thing I'd like to share is about evangelism. Coach Bonheim was a leader. He knew the importance of that. He knew the importance of developing young people, and he was there. I mean, Coach was bold. We had tournaments. You know, he taught us how to witness. We had wrestling tracks that were made up. We took them everywhere we went, on the road, before tournaments, during tournaments, after tournaments, and you could see Coach all the time, right? I mean, he was witnessing to, all-American coaches, national champion coaches, Olympians. He was bold, and he knew the importance of sharing the gospel. And sure, some of them would laugh and blow that off, but that it didn't matter to him. It mattered to him that he shared and they had the opportunity to accept Christ. And that's what he did for me. That's what he did for everybody. And I so appreciate that. I'm so thankful that I got to see him. And then for Coach Castro, we got to talk. Levi, my son, I know he looks like I could be his grandpa, but anyway, he's only going into 9th grade, and he loves football and he loves wrestling. And Coach Castro took us around today and took him over to the wrestling room, and we got to talk a little bit. And I knew it, but of course I'm still going to ask. And Coach Castro, taking the kids up on the run, the importance of the Bible study and sharing God's word and looking over liberty and what God has accomplished. That is this foundation that was built in us by Coach Bonheim. And it's carried on through the years. And Jesse is continuing that, and I am so excited about that. The last thing I don't want to go over is this Bible. This is, Coach Bonheim gives this to every senior at the senior banquet. I cherish this. 35 years old right here, marked up. And Coach shared, and here he said, "The Lord's best to you as you give your best to him. Thanks for your faithfulness and contributions to the LU wrestling team, Coach Bonheim." Philippians 2:13. Thank you, everybody. Coach, I love you. Thank you.
Congratulations. Pat, welcome to the Hall of Fame. Moving on, men's golf. Robert Carlson, unable to be with us here today. He's in Europe competing on one of the pro European tours. Dominant golfer during his time here, helping Jeff Thomas and his team to great heights as they continue to perform well even today. Got a little video talking about Robert Carlson, and then following that, an acceptance speech Robert sent to us this week.
Liberty's first Division I men's golf All-American hails from Sweden. Robert Carlson arrived on campus in 2009 and quickly emerged as one of the program's best and brightest stars.
We had a player, Tobias Peterson, that was here from Sweden. He was here in the fall, and he's like, hey, you should go look at my friend. He's really good. He plays the same course that I do. So that was in Kalmar, Sweden. So we went and we contacted Robert, and he came in the spring of 2009, I believe.
That spring, Carlson was named Big South Freshman of the Year, but that was just the beginning. In 2010 and 2011, he earned back-to-back Big South Golfer of the Year awards.
On a technical level, he hit the ball super straight. I mean, on a string. And his short game was amazing. He didn't really get in much trouble from a golf standpoint as far as, hitting out of play or missing greens and all that.
Very rarely did you see Robert hitting out of the rough. He just hit this effortless 2-yard cut no matter really what the conditions were, it seemed. And his wedge and short game was just so good. When I think of Robert golfing, I think of fairways and greens. I think of someone that has a game plan that he sticks to.
Carlson's lifetime 72.02 stroke average is still a program record. But his strong play not only earned him individual success, Carlson also set the Flames on a course to become a perennial top 40 program.
In my opinion, the success that Robert was able to have while at Liberty really helped get Liberty Golf on the map as far as a national recognized program. And I believe Robert was a key piece to the foundation of Liberty Golf.
Carlson helped lead the Flames to their first 2 conference titles in program history, claiming Big South championships in 2011 and 2012. Carlson and the Flames would then go on to win the 2012 NCAA Greensboro Regional title, advancing to the NCAA Championship for the first time in program history, where the team would finish in 10th place.
If I could take anything away from, him as an athlete, he was a competitor and he was super passionate about what he did.
We were grateful that he stayed here all 4 years, and that Liberty was an important part of his life in that span of his life. So yeah, he was excited to get inducted to the Hall of Fame. He committed a lot to Liberty, and I think it was great that we could do that for him, is to induct him into the Hall of Fame.
I'm proud of him. I know his teammates are proud of him. His coaches are proud of him, and his induction to the Hall of Fame is very exciting and absolutely deserved.
Robert Carlson, welcome to the Liberty Athletics Hall of Fame.
Hello, my name is Robert Carlson. I hope you have a great day in Lynchburg, Virginia. Unfortunately, I can't be with you tonight due to COVID travel restrictions, but I wish I was there with you, but unfortunately at this time I can't. Honestly, I'm not really sure how the Hall of Fame voting process works, but I assume it's some sort of voting, so I would like to thank everyone who has voted for me for this award. It means a lot for me, and I'm very grateful to be a part of the Liberty Hall of Fame. And my 4 years at Liberty was, and still has been the best 4 years of my life so far. It really is a great place, and it has a lot of good people in it. And since I now have this opportunity with a camera in front of you, all of you guys, I would like to thank some of the people who has meant a lot for me during my time at Liberty. And I would like to start with thanking all my teammates at the Liberty Golf program during my 4 years. Golf is essentially an individual sport, but during my 4 years I never felt like an individual sport. We were always a team, and it had a lot, of course, with the coach to do, but also with the boys that he recruited, and it felt like everyone was we were on the same path, all of us, and we wanted the same thing, and we won as a team and we lost as a team, and it was just it was a great time, and it was all thanks to the teammates. So thank you all. You know who you are. I also would like to thank Morgan and Adam Godwin, who they were not part of the golf team, but they worked at Liberty during my time there. And during my time, it was not just golf, but I had always when I had issues off the course, and it could be anything. They always had their doors open, and I came there with my, as I realize now, simple student problems, which is not really adult problems, but they always had their door open, and even though they worked full time and they had their own lives to take care of, and as I know now, it's not always easy as an adult, but they always listened, and they never said no, and I'm very grateful for that, and thank you. It meant a lot for me, so thank you, Morgan and Adam. I also like to thank Bill and Cindy Bryant, who after I graduated from Liberty, I decided to stay in the States and not move back home to Sweden to try to make it as a professional golfer. And then I had my base in Lynchburg still, and they took me in as one of their own in their family and let me stay at their house. They cooked for me, and they made me feel at home, which was very essential for me after college, since after college you become an adult, and it's more of an adult life, and golf, then you really realize how alone golf can be sometimes, and thanks to them it made me feel like I had a family in the States after I graduated. So thank you very much, Bill and Cindy. And also I would like to thank, last but not least, Coach Thomas, who I had my first interaction with in, I believe it was October 2008, when he called me in Sweden and asked if I wanted to move over to the States and start studying at Liberty and play golf for the golf team. And of course my instant answer was no. I didn't want to do anything scary like that, and I just want to stay home in my comfort zone in Sweden and just not worry about anything other than that. But he was persistent, and he continued to just say like it's a good chance, you might never get it again, and worst case the worst case scenario is that I move back to Sweden. So he convinced me to go over, and in January 2009 I came, and he picked me up at the airport, and that was the best decision in my life so far, I must say, and that's a lot of thanks to you, Coach. So thank you very much for that. And I'm very impressed also with what you have done with the golf program so far. It's since I arrived in 2009, it's amazing what you have done, and in my book you're in the Hall of Fame as well. So thanks again, Coach. And yeah, thanks for this award. As I said, I will find a suiting place in my house for this, and yeah, hope you have a great evening, and hopefully I will be able to come over and visit soon, because I would like to do that. So thanks again, have a great evening, and God bless.
Time now to talk about Megan Frazee Luzinger. Had a really good time doing interviews with Coach Green and Jamie Hall, the radio broadcaster, and Linda Farver as well, which we'll hear from in a minute. And there was one particular game that each of them kept talking about, and we'll hear a little bit more about that with Megan Frazee Luzinger and those recollections of her teammates and coaches.
Megan Frazee Luzinger, along with her triplet sisters Molly and Mariah, often left the opposition Frazee crazy, but it was Luzinger who separated herself with 1,883 points, third most in school history, an 81% career free throw average, And in 2008, shot 88% at the line, both program records. A 3-time Big South champion and 2-time Conference Player of the Year, few have been as dominant.
I think what made Megan a dominant player was her versatility and her skill set. Being as long and as tall as she was a matchup nightmare for every team that we came up against.
Great leader too. You could almost bet when we got the ball, the first shot was probably taken by her because she was not afraid to take the first shot or the last shot to win the game.
In the 2008 Big South Championship, Liberty trailed Radford by 1 with 3 seconds to go. Head coach Carrie Green called a timeout to set up a final play.
Megan was the go-to gal. Liberty needed a bucket. Obviously, the ball needs to be in Megan's hands.
Luzinger's go-ahead basket with 1 second left would send the Lady Flames to their 11th conference title and back to the NCAA tournament.
It's kind of like Michael time or Kobe time. It was Megan time, and she got the ball and she didn't disappoint. And there were multiple times in her career when she would just have that look in her eye.
In 2006, Liberty traveled to UVA for a battle of unbeatens, played in brand new John Paul Jones Arena.
They invited us up to be like a sacrificial lamb, to be one of the teams that they beat in their new arena.
Liberty trailed by 2 at halftime, and Luzinger was off to a slow start with only 6 points.
And then the second half, she lit them up. She got 31 points in the second half alone.
I've had 15 rebounds in that game, just absolutely dominated at the ACC level in a game that Debbie did not want to lose on her home court.
Luzinger's career-high 37 lifted the Flames to a 75-71 win.
I guess the other thing that really shined through was her tremendous humility. She never, and I heard this from teammates as well, Megan was cool, calm, collected, level-headed, didn't get overly enthusiastic or up with a victory, nor did she get down if they suffered a loss.
Extremely well-deserved, really a no-brainer in my book. She's one of the best players to ever put on a Liberty uniform.
No one more deserving than her by character and by performance, and I just celebrated with her.
Now we welcome Megan Frazee Luzinger to the Liberty Athletics Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much for this honor and just for the privilege to be here. I'll try not to get too emotional, but it is just a blessing to be up here. And really, quite honestly, I wouldn't be standing up here if it wasn't for many of you in this room. And so, from professors to coaches to my teammates to my family, I just thank you. Basketball has been a big catalyst in my life and has really propelled me to just be the person that I am today and that I continue to be. And whether that's been as a player in high school, middle school, college, professionally, it's just been amazing to see the journey that the Lord has blessed me to be a part of. And so really this is going to be a speech about thanking those who have made this possible. First off, I would like to thank the Hall of Fame committee, as well as Tim East, Alan York, Ian McCall, everyone who has just been a part of this special evening. For those who have also gotten inducted, you all have done a great job, and so I have some tough shoes to follow up here. But it's been an honor to be here tonight. I would also like to thank my Lord and Savior, because without Tim, obviously none of us would be here. And so it's just a blessing to be able to have played for him and represent him, and I hope that I've done that well. Secondly, I'd like to thank my husband and my 2 boys, who you probably heard one of them crying earlier. Just thank you for your all support, and being now on the other side as a coach and a mom, I see just the importance of what it looks like to be able to have that balance as a mother. And so I really wouldn't be able to be doing the profession I'm doing now, still in the game of basketball as a coach, if I didn't have my husband, who's a big cheerleader, supporter, encourager, and loves myself and my family well. I also want to thank my family. My parents, unfortunately, were not able to make it here tonight, but I'm so thankful just for their influence on my life. Try not to get emotional. A lot of parents, they send their children or their kids off to college, and my parents, they they moved here to Lynchburg, Virginia from Ohio. So counted a privilege and a blessing to have experienced college life alongside them. I can really count on probably 2 hands the amount of games that they missed. And so whether that was home games that they were always at, they even flew to Cancun when we had a tournament there, amongst other places. So I'm so thankful for their support. To my siblings, my 2 sisters, thank you so much for just your support and your encouragement. I wouldn't be up here today if I didn't have you as sisters, so I thank you. To my brother, who wasn't able to make it here tonight, his wife is here, so Amy, thank you for coming. I appreciate that, and I remember countless times growing up, just 2-on-2 games in the front yard, on the court, or shooting sets of 25, seeing who could make the most. I tried to always win those if I could. I also want to thank my in-laws who are here, Bill and Sharon. And really I'm not going to go into the story, but how I ended up meeting their son, and now my husband was through working summer camps at Liberty as a basketball player, and she ended up bringing her team here to camp. And so several years later, stayed in contact. And so thank you for your all support as well and love. Next, I would like to thank my teammates. Really, as mentioned in the video, it is an honor and a privilege to, in the game of basketball, you have surrounding cast with you. And so a few of my teammates here are here tonight. Rachel Hammond, now Rachel Rocco. I was blessed to be her roommate for 2 years. And we had a lot of good laughs, some maybe some tears in there as well. But thank you, Rachel, for just your love towards me. And she was one person that was in my wedding as well, amongst others. And so thank you for your support and encouraging me. Obviously, my sisters, that goes without being said. Just we had some got onto each other at times, but we also held each other accountable. So I'm so thankful for that. And then Courtney Watkins, now Courtney Stone. I remember I was telling her right before I came up here, we back in the time we were playing, we had 5:30 a.m. workouts, which we all looked forward to every morning. But during that time, as freshmen, we didn't have cars, and so we always could count on Courtney to be able to pile in her car and make the drive across campus to Hancock Building, which I know is no longer the weight room. But just so thankful for someone like her who was also in my wedding. And it's amazing to be able to have teammates who you can make lifelong friends with. And that, even now as the hustle and bustle of all of us being mothers, we can still pick up and connect and just catch up. And that's just been a blessing. I also would like to thank my coaches, Coach Green. I know Andy Bloodworth is here as well. And many other coaches here at Liberty, just for their time that they've invested in me. Looking back now as a coach, I see just the value of that kind of 18, 19 to 24, 25 range, whatever it may be, in someone's life, especially in mine. And being able to be at a special place like Liberty University where, yes, they did develop as coaches, developed us as players, developed me as a player, but more importantly, I'm so thankful for how they developed me as a person. And I also want to give a shout out to my dad, because he was also a pivotal coach in my life and coached my siblings and myself growing up, whether that was in AAU, some in high school as well, and just the influence that he had on my life. I wouldn't be the basketball player that I was without him. And what I appreciate most about my dad is just his balance that he always seemed to handle every situation with. And so vividly, I remember growing up, he would say, Megan, if you want to be good at something, whether that's basketball, whatever it may be, you're going to have to put the time in. But at the same time, he didn't want that to be my identity, his identity. And so I'm so thankful that growing up, I could be in a loving Christian home where my parents, I could see them on a daily basis taking time to do their devotions. And yes, they wanted us to work hard, but also to most importantly remember that our identity, my identity, should be in Christ. So I'm so thankful for that. I also would like to thank Coach Williams. I appreciate you, Coach Williams, just for maybe not those 5:30 a.m. workouts, but I appreciate just you impacting my life, and I know so many that you have. And you were a coach, and you pushed us in the weight room to hopefully make us stronger and quicker on the basketball floor. But you also, what I remember most is you took time to get to know us individually. And you came to my wedding. I know you were at my sister's wedding. But I think those times where you took the time to share with us a Bible verse or to talk about a personal time in your life, I think those are really impactful and have been to me. And now that I am a coach, I strive to do that and to be relational with the players that I have the privilege of coaching. So thank you for that. Next, I would like to thank Liberty University and just all the professors that I was blessed to have while here. Liberty is a special place, and it's awesome because you get to grow. I got to grow not only as an athlete, but more importantly as a person. And I know my freshman year, I kind of took for granted the convocations or chapels 3 times a week. And yet then my sophomore year rolls around, and I'm like, I really don't want to just check this off the box of, I've got to go to chapel. And so I started trying to use that time to better myself as a person, to grow in my walk with the Lord. Started journaling, taking notes of the speakers that came in. And so even now, I go back and look at some of those notes that I wrote down, and just what a blessing it is to bring in top-notch quality, God-fearing people here. And so as an athlete, I'm so thankful that I was able to come to a place like Liberty where I was developed truly as an entire person. And so I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful for my professors. So many great professors here. So many professors I know that have retired. But one in particular I would like to give a special mention to is Dr. Linda Farver, who I've now been given permission to call Linda, so I feel like I'm moving up the food chain a little bit. But I'm so thankful just for her impact on my life. I found myself as a freshman, sophomore, starting to take some of her classes, and I knew she had the reputation of being a really tough professor. So didn't know exactly what that was until I took a class of hers, and then I realized, yep, you got to study, you have to work hard. But really, her classes were some of the most influential in my life because I really felt like I learned a lot. And not just from a book perspective of knowledge, but also she was one as well that would take time to share with us different pieces of wisdom. And one to this day that I remember, and I share with my players, is she said, I have a quiz for you all. What is the biggest room in the world? So we're shouting out different rooms or what that could be, and she said it's room for improvement. And I think that's so true, because whatever phase or stage of life we find ourselves in, we can definitely always be improving. So I just want to wrap things up and just once again thank everybody in this room for this special honor and award. It's a very humble to be up here, and I want to end with this verse. It's from Ephesians, and it says, Ephesians 3:20. Now all glory to God, who is able through his mighty power at work within us, to accomplish infinitely more than we might ask or think. And I just think that this is so true in my life, and I'm sure in your life as well. But it's so humble to be up here today, receiving this award, and just thank you for each and every one of you for your support in this process. Thank you.
Congratulations, Megan. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. Wrapping things up with the football, James McKnight. Quick story. Are you going to talk about the Nestea plunge in your speech or not? I will. You will? Okay. I'm not going to spoil it for everybody, but putting these videos together, two of his teammates, they both mentioned this Nestea plunge, so I'm very intrigued. So let's hear from a couple of teammates of James and Coach Rutigliano.
James McKnight was a two-sport star at Liberty, competing as a wide receiver on the football team and a jumper on the track and field team.
He fit in well with all the guys on the track team, but he got along with them, yet he wasn't boisterous, or I didn't even get to know him that well because he's kind of a quiet guy, did what he's supposed to do. And
James was a player with guts, a graceful and tough receiver. He was explosive with tremendous speed. James was a kid who took responsibility for what he needed to do. Didn't make excuses, just got it done. He was a listener and a learner.
In 3 seasons on the gridiron, McKnight hauled in more than 1,900 receiving yards and 17 touchdowns.
But my memories, 6'1", 175, 180, ran like a deer, could run every route on the tree, could catch everything, hard worker, a great human being. He just had the total package.
James was 100% selfless, man. He cared about himself more than others. James always had a smile on his face. He always took the younger guys under his arms and helped them along the way, regardless of what position they played, regardless of if they were a freshman, sophomore, or senior. He was just a caring person.
Despite competing for only 2 seasons in track, McKnight helped the Flames capture their first ever conference title as a senior at the Big South Outdoor Championship in 1994.
The guys on the team at that time had really bought into what I was trying to do with the program, and that was part of the reason that we had such a great year that year, that they had a bond, and he came into that as an outsider, but he did a good job of fitting in, and I think that he has fond memories of doing track at Liberty, and we're certainly happy he did, and I think he is happy as well.
Following his time at Liberty, McKnight played 11 seasons in the NFL with Seattle, Dallas, Miami, and the New York Giants.
You could count on James in tough, clutch situations. His teammates knew this, and I knew it too. He caught the impossible passes, placing himself in heavy traffic, but always coming up with the ball.
We pushed each other. I pushed him, he pushed me. We pushed each other to be the best at our positions that we could be. Him being inducted into Liberty's Hall of Fame is a testament to the battles in practice that we had.
James McKnight, welcome to the Liberty Athletics Hall of Fame.
How y'all doing tonight? I feel like I'm about to play a game. I'm nervous. To the Hall of Fame committee, I want to thank you guys for inducting me for such an honor, considering me for such an honor. I tried to make all that I come in contact proud, and I certainly think I did this university proud, so thank you guys for such an honor. Ian McCall, thank you for what you're doing for Liberty Athletics. I appreciate watching us on TV and cheering for my alma mater, because we took a lot of beating over the years, so I'm glad we're on top. To Tim East, during this process, buddy, thank you so much. You've made accommodation after accommodation, and with your patience, I just simply thank you. Before I get started on my speech, I just want y'all to, Alan, I need Robert's phone number because I need some help with my golf game. Sheldon Lewis and Maurice Jones, they've been beating up on me for a while, so I definitely want to get those guys. I'll get started here. I'm just glad we serve a God of miracles, signs, and wonders, because the journey to get to LU has been a true testament of some ups and downs, some triumphs, some victories, some defeats, and I just thank God for keeping me through it with my head held high. I want to thank my wife, Audrey, that's here, to be my rock, my supporter, my best friend, for your patience, for taking care of me, for taking care of our home, for loving our children. I appreciate you. To my in-laws, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law that's here right now, and those that could make it, my nieces and nephews on both my side and your side, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for making the trip here. I know it was a journey getting here today, but I just thank you guys for being here. It really means a lot, and I appreciate you guys. My kids, I'll deal with you guys last. I want to thank my mother. My mother, she's a mother of 8, I got 6 sisters. I'm smack dab in the middle of the girls. So yeah, I played with their baby dolls when I was little. Comb their hair. How I became a football player in the house full of women, I just don't know. My brother's the oldest. My brother Raph, he's the oldest, but he was the first real big athlete in the McKnight household. I know he's not here, but I think he's watching tonight. So, buddy, I don't care how high I get. I will always look up to you and always thank you for just being tough on me. He was tough, but he was tough with love. And he didn't allow me to play with kids my age. He made me play with the boys his age. He's 9 years older than me. But one thing he did that helped me in my athletic career is that he always picked me first to be on his teams. He got some big guys, grown guys, even in my teenage years when I'm playing with grown men in Orlando, he always picked me first to be on his team. And he didn't care if we won or lost, he just wanted his little brother to compete with him. And I think that belief in me and that pushing me to be great is led his way to me being here at Liberty in high school and just achieving more because I just didn't see guys at my level. I always wanted to be better than them. Why? Because I've been playing against grown men for a long time, And they didn't take it easy on me. I got a lot of scars on my body. All right, all of them didn't come from football. They came from getting knocked down, scratching me, pulling me, hitting me hard, because my brother would always throw me the ball. Everybody want to guard the big guy. My brother's like, okay, look over here, and I'm gonna throw to my little brother over there. I caught most of them. And those I didn't, I heard about all the way home. So I want to thank you guys. To my sisters, they loved on their brother. They're very protective, overprotective, to be honest. Polly, Pam, Vanessa, Miranda, who's no longer with us, Nettie and Monica, I love you with everything. Thank you guys for being the ultimate sisters. And Pam, we all got one sister that you love. Pam was just the most overprotective. When I was in elementary and middle school, people would, try to pick on their little brother. And I don't know how she found out, but somebody would hit me in school. Pam found out. And before school's out, they beat up, I get to high school, people find out something. They were like, man, your sister was, beating this boy up. I'm like, what in the world? So when I got to Liberty University and met Dr. Falwell, one of the things that Dr. Falwell used to always do when I have an opportunity to talk to him, he used to punch me in the gut. I ain't called Pam on him. I'm just letting y'all know. But he always used to tell me, hey, good job out there. Good job out there. And in my mind, I'm like, you know who I am? This little guy. Because I came to Liberty University as a Proposition 48. And I had to sit out. And Coach Sam was one of those guys that believed me, and I love that guy. To my Uncle Nate, who first drove me up to Liberty University, he said something to me when we were riding up here, and he said that, James, all these people in your hometown that's cheering for you, as you go up to school, he's like, don't give them the satisfaction because they're waiting on you to fail. He said, don't give them the satisfaction. He say, you go up there, you make your mama proud, and put a bad taste in their mouth because they're really not cheering for you. I didn't know what he meant back then, but I've been back home over the years. And you're celebrated when you're home, and you're talked about when you're not. But at the end of the day, God's getting glory because I'm just serving him along the way. I love on them. They don't even know I know they talk about me. But, God, it's just amazing that you can deal with things that sometimes hurt, but then you see some of the friends and you see some of the coaches that you've been able to experience, man, and I just thank God for it. It's a long testimony, so if I get into that, you guys will be here all night. I want you to enjoy the rest of this night. Oh, man, I love this thing. To my high school coaches, I start with my high school head coach. He was a tough guy, and he was a guy that didn't like James McKnight on his team. So I'm probably the only LU graduate that played JV football in the 10th and 11th grade because my head coach always tried to run me off. I don't want this guy on my team. But what he didn't know is that I had asthma. And back in the 80s, you know, it was no asthma inhalers. You know, it was no inhalers that are used. That's my lifeline. It was Primatene Mist. Y'all don't know if y'all know about that. Have y'all ever had Primatene Mist, man? That thing burned going in, and it probably burnt coming out. It was something awful, but it kept me going. It kept me going. It allowed me to. God just got a sense of humor, don't you? How you give me extreme asthma and make me fast? And I don't understand that. Me and Jesus are gonna have some serious conversations when I get up there. But I want to really thank my JV coaches, Dave Brown and Brian King, who just lost his mother last week. And these coaches told the head varsity coaches, like, well, coach, if you don't want him, we'll take him. You know, he's the best guy on our team. You know, so I had these guys in 10th grade. I had them again in 11th grade. And the thing about the varsity coach, JV games was on Wednesdays. And so Sheldon Lewis, who's here tonight, he played for Evans, and they had a wide receiver by the name of Horace Copeland. They call him High C because he was 6'5", and he can jump out the gym. So High C was their best receiver. So on Wednesdays, JV game night, all right, the varsity coach would make me practice with the varsity and put High C number, Horace Copeland number on me, and now I'm practicing full practice with those guys. And then there was a hard day, so they had to run 3 gassers. So I had to practice full with them, run 3 gassers, and then go into the locker room and try to rest for a JV game that night. He did this several times throughout the season. I'm not complaining about it because he put a work ethic in me that's undeniable, all right? And that undeniable work ethic, it got humbled when I got to Liberty University and started dealing with Coach Williams and Bill Gillespie. I got 2 stories about each one of them, all right? I'll start with Coach Williams since he's here tonight. Thank you, buddy, for just rebuilding me and putting some meat on this little skinny boy's bones, boy, because I came here a stick. Big feet, big hands, big head, but you put some muscle on that body, and I thank you for that. But I was showing out in the weight room, as I was number 1 here, so y'all. I was showing out in the weight room. We was lifting, doing some abs one time, and Coach Williams came by me and he said, well, James, you ought to know that the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And man, that thing hit me like a brick. I don't know if you remember saying that, Coach, but that thing humbled me something that I'm like, okay, hold on, man. God can take away my gift, you're 19, 20 years old, and someone said that the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. I mean, it makes you think about your life. Because here I am trying to show off that I got a 6-pack of abs, but he was like, no, it's just something more. Don't let that define you. And I never forgot that. I never forgot that, buddy, and I thank you. And for Coach Bill Gillespie, all right, so I came here as a Proposition 48, so I had to sit out my first year and just go to school. So I went into the weight room. I watched the team work out. I couldn't work out with the team, couldn't lift with the team. So I would go in there with Coach Gillespie on my own. And so the first time I worked out with him, I mean, he ripped me up. And so I went upstairs to the bathroom, and I gave up lunch, breakfast, whatever I had last night, all over the bathroom floor. And I came out, and he was laughing. You know how Bill is. He's sitting there laughing, how big he is. And I looked him in the eye, and I said, I'll never let you do that to me again. And they knew that they had a hard worker in the weight room. I was one of the first ones in and one of the last ones to leave. And it was evident to how my career had taken off. I didn't cheat the weight room. I didn't cheat you guys, Coach, and I just thank you, sir. I thank you. I have some teammates here. And all you guys, please stand. Please stand. Yeah. Got Pastor Eric Carroll over there, Bryant Wolfold, Sheldon Lewis. They all played on the defense. So, you know, me and Maurice, we kind of took care of those guys in practice, but they took care of us too. Me and Maurice used to have this little thing. We used to have a little bell that anytime one of us would shake one of the DBs, we ring the bell, ding, ding. And we made practice fun. To my boy Mo, Maurice came in here my junior and senior year, and we just bonded like a brother. We never was selfish on the football field, and we used to call each other Thunder and Lightning. He was lightning, I was thunder, but we both were fast. But I tell you that Maurice, man, I appreciate you because you made me better. We was roommates when we traveled, and we just talked about what we were gonna do the next day. You're talking about two guys that had confidence. Man, I just thank you. I thank you for exuding confidence in me, for bringing the best out of me, because as you made your plays and touchdowns, man, as I celebrated you, you were right there for me, and I appreciate that, and even beyond. Sheldon Lewis. Sheldon was my host when I came to visit Liberty out of high school. And he took me around and showed me this school, and I'm like, okay, man. You know, and I'm from Orlando area, and he's from Orlando. Matter of fact, I went to school with his sisters and cousins, but we didn't know each other. But when I got to Liberty, he became a big brother. He became a big brother, and to this day, he and another group, about 10 or 12 of us, we're in a group chat. We talk every day. We talk smack every day. And we've been friends for over 31 years, man, and I just thank you, because if you didn't love on me and show me and your hospitality when I came here on a visit, I don't know if I returned. And so I want to thank you for that. To my quarterback, stand up, man. Stand up, man. Robbie, I love you, man. I had you for 2 years, but I wish I had you for 4. Because we between me and Maurice, we'd rewrote the record books here at Liberty University, no doubt in my mind. I thank you for trusting me with the ball. I thank you for believing in me, even sitting out a whole year, to be able to come in with Pat Nelson and David Beezer and just be a part of the mix. I simply thank you, buddy. You always found me. You kept me out of trouble. I didn't have any concussions. and I enjoyed playing for you, man. I appreciate you. I celebrate you that you're already in the Hall of Fame, man. But I thank you. If it weren't for people like you that believed in me, man, I don't know what Liberty University would have been about. You know, you was always a consummate leader on the field, and we followed you. And I thank you for that, buddy. To my classmates, some of them are here, Shelley Worthy, Mentor Richardson, Letta Porter, and some other guys. I just thank you guys for making this trip to come celebrate me. It means more than life to me. Letta and a Mentor, we had the same major, so every year we had 4 or 5 classes together. And so to see you guys here, it's like my little sisters. That's not so little no more. Just an opportunity to see you guys face in a long, long time. I thank you guys for that. Thank you for celebrating. I believe that it always takes a village. To my offensive linemen, Mr. Curtis Nivens, Brian Bowden, Chris Mark, Chris Godey, Eric Arnery. If you guys didn't give Robbie Justino and Antoine Childs, my other quarterback, time to throw the ball, there is no James McKnight, and there is no Maurice Jones. So I thank you guys for that. To my coaches, Coach Sam, where do I start with this guy? Coach Sam came into my life and sat down at my mom's table, and he was bold. He made a prophecy and he made a promise. He made a prophecy and he made a promise. Because I was being a knucklehead in school, not getting in trouble, I just was that I did enough kid. You know, if I just needed to be in the class, I just did enough to get a B. If I needed to see, I just did enough. And so coming into Liberty, you know, he didn't know what type of student I was. So he told my mom, he said, Miss McKnight, I don't care how long it would take your son to graduate. As long as he's going to class, he's not getting kicked out and not getting in trouble, we will pay for his graduation. We will pay for his education. And then the prophecy he made, he said, I want him to come to Liberty University because I believe that he has the talent to play at the next level. And I'm not talking about college. I'm not talking about college football. And at 18 years old, to hear somebody say that they believe that I can play in the NFL, and I haven't even played one down of college football. Not only that, he knew I had to sit out a year of college football. But because of his pedigree of being an NFL head coach, he knew what he saw in me, even when I didn't see it myself. He's been selfish. He's been selfless. If I needed a tutor, he didn't find a tutor on Liberty University. He made his daughter, Kyrie, come tutor me. So I always ask him, like, Coach, why you got Kyrie tutor me? You know, and his word to me was, I'm protecting my investment. So after Kyrie got me right, so I didn't, need a tutor my junior and senior year, and we had study hall. And so I was trying to get out of study hall and got my grades right. I got, B average. I'm feeling good about myself. And so I told Coach, I said, Coach, my grades is above, the study hall criteria. Why am I still on the study hall list? And he simply said, I'm protecting my investment. And then, wow, protecting this investment. My junior year, I got hurt. And Alan, here's the next two-plan story. Playing at the University of Central Florida, Maurice Jones and I, we can't sleep the night before the game, so we're up. We're just talking smack, what we're gonna do to UCF. And our thing was, whoever make a touchdown first, they do the nesty plunge. Nesty plunge, you just run to the end zone, lay out, and fall back into the end zone like it was a commercial about the nesty plunge, but they fell back into a pool. So that was our thing that we were gonna do. And lo and behold, Robert Justino found me on a post, and man, I caught the ball. I was so far behind those guys, I had time to slow down on the 1 yard line and just fall back. The stands went crazy. My teammates went crazy. I thought I just, lit Liberty University on fire. And y'all ever just been like singled out, like something just singled out on you right there? And that's what Coach Sam, he just looked at me. And y'all know that Italian guy, when he get mad, oh man, you in trouble. And so as I make my way back to the sideline, everybody trying to hit me on the head, and I'm like gone, because I see him, and I got to go over there. And that was probably the one moment that he might have been most disappointed in me. And what he said to me was that, hey, just simply get it across the line. That's good enough for me. And what he said that, basically you just showboated the other team, but the gift that was inside of you, God gave it to you. And instead of giving God honor for making that touchdown, you took his honor for yourself. And that hurt me more. And I sat on the bench, and man, I couldn't, it was like I was outside of my body looking at myself, and I was miserable. And I walked back up to Coach, and I told him, and from the NFL and all, I told him I'll never do that again. And later in that game, I got hurt, and I missed my last 2 games of my junior year. So coming into my senior year, I had to wear a Donjoy brace. I'm the starting wide receiver running around in a brace. And I wore number 1. Is that not tragic? Wearing this Donjoy brace, teams would always come up, thought they could press me and do all this stuff right here, but the brace was Coach Sam's protecting his investment, because I didn't need the brace. God had put me back together. Coach Williams had put me back together. I was strong, but I needed to be protected from myself. And Coach Sam did that. He's the greatest father figure that I've ever had. I came here a little boy, and I left a full-grown man because he showed me by example. He poured into me spiritually. I had a privilege of him not only being my head coach, but he was also my wide receiver coach. So for 3 years, we got to know him intimately, and I'm so grateful for that relationship. To Coach Tosma with the track team, I'm so grateful that he allowed me to just come and be a part of that team, for embracing me, for challenging me, for allowing me to be the anchor on his 4x1 relay, and just allowing me to just, he really didn't know. After the year that I hurt my knee, I knew I wasn't going to be able to play spring, and I know that I wouldn't have been able to play football until August, and so this is kind of around January. And if you've already sat out a year, I know mentally I wasn't prepared to be out of any kind of athletics until then. So Coach Tosman, he threw me out a lifeline, and that lifeline gave me an opportunity to continue to compete, continue to allow my competitive juices to flow. And I went out there and I performed well for him for 2 years. And I'm grateful for that, because several times my senior year, every time we came back from a track meet, my roommate would say, "Hey man, the Atlanta Falcons are gonna be here tomorrow to work you out." I'm like, "What?" Come back the next week, another NFL team is here to work me out. Had it not been for track and field, I wouldn't have been ready to perform for those NFL teams when they came to take a look at me. So I'm so grateful for Coach Tosma. He's a quiet voice. He's a soft-spoken man, but he allowed you to be you. He allowed me to be me. He knew I had asthma, so my workouts were short, but I performed great. So I'm eternally grateful for him and the Liberty University track team. And I'll end with this. To my children, I ain't crying, y'all. I'm telling y'all right now, I ain't crying, I ain't crying, I ain't crying. Woo! I'm sorry. To my children, David, James, and Dylan, Taylor, Nyla, and India, I love you guys. I love you guys. It's a privilege to be there for you. It's a privilege to pour into you. I know I can be your greatest fan, and I can be your worst critic. Sometimes I can be your warden, but most times I'm your friend. You guys inspire me because of the work that you put in. Thank you for doing what I do and not what I say. And that's using your gift to serve God and using your talent to be a bright light on whatever court you're in. Volleyball, track and field, basketball, football, wrestling. Whatever you guys are putting your mind to, you've accomplished and you've excelled at it. And I'm so proud to be your dad. I want to leave you guys with 3 critical things of what I learned on the mountain. Number 1, you can't stop a seed from becoming a tree if you put it in the right environment. I came to Liberty University, and I was in the right environment. Coach Sam, Coach Williams, Coach Gillespie, my teachers, they warded me, and I became a fruitful tree, and I'm continuing to pay that forward. Number 2, you can't serve the crown and the crowd. You got to choose one. There ain't no greater glory than to give God His glory, to honor Him, and to allow your light to shine. I'm still trying to do that right now. I got the privilege with Giuseppe to work with the alumni group here, and I get an opportunity to just let my light shine again and to do good things for this university. It's a privilege to be back. And last but not least, success and greatness got an address. And it's on the corner of preparation and opportunity. I prepared all my life for an opportunity to play in the NFL. I prepared to play in the NFL, but I got my opportunity with the Seattle Seahawks. I prepared to be at Liberty University, and Coach Sam gave me an opportunity even though I had to sit out. You guys don't have to be great to get started, but you got to get started to be great. Greatness created you, because our God is great. And he left greatness on the inside of you with the Holy Spirit. So if greatness created you and greatness on the inside of you, I challenge you guys, dare to be great. Thank you, guys.
Congratulations again to our inductees here tonight. Don't forget, we'll have a video recording of this online, and we'll have that link available as soon as that is published, and some videos we took before the event as well. We'll get those edited. Hope you all had a good time tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Look forward to seeing everybody at the football game tomorrow night, and go Flames.